Jake Morrison walked down the long corridor of the starship USS Horizon. His boots made soft sounds on the metal floor. The lights above him were bright white and clean. He had been sleeping when the call came. "Lieutenant Morrison, report to the bridge immediately." The voice on the speaker sounded worried. Jake was 28 years old and had been in space for 5 years. He was tall, with brown hair and green eyes. His uniform was blue and gray, with silver buttons. He was good at his job as a tactical officer. He knew how to fight and how to think fast when trouble came. The bridge doors opened with a soft hiss. Captain Lisa Hayes stood in the center, looking at a large screen. She was 40 years old, with short black hair and dark eyes. Her face was serious. Around her stood other officers. They all looked worried too. "Jake Morrison reporting as ordered, Captain," Hayes said Jake as he walked up to her. "Good, you are here," Jake said the captain. "We have a big problem. Look at this message." The screen showed words in strange letters. Then the computer changed them to English. Jake read the message slowly. It was from someone called Princess Zarathal of the Vex Empire. The message was short but scary. "To the humans of Earth and all human colonies, I, Princess Zarathal, demand that you give us the human called Jake Morrison. Our ancient books say that only a human mate can save our royal bloodline. Our people are dying and cannot have children. We need this human now. You have 7 days to decide. If you say no, we will take him by force. The Vexery Empire has spoken." Jake felt cold inside his chest. He read the message again to make sure he understood it right. They wanted him, not just any human but him by name. "Captain, how do they know who I am?" asked Jake. "They have been watching," U.S. said Captain Hayes. "Our intelligence people think they studied our battles in Sector 7 last year. You did good work there, Jake. Maybe too good." Jake remembered Sector 7. Pirates had attacked 3 human colonies. Jake had planned the counterattack that saved thousands of lives. He had used smart tactics to beat ships that were bigger and stronger. The battle made him famous in the human fleet. "But I never saw any Vexery ships there," said Jake. "They were hidden," said the captain. "The Vexery have technology we do not understand. They can watch us without being seen." Another officer stepped forward. His name was Commander Rick Stone. He was the intelligence chief. Commander Stone was older than Jake, with gray hair and tired eyes. "Lieutenant Morrison, the Vexery Empire is huge," said Commander Stone. "They control over 200 star systems. Their ships are much better than ours. If they want to fight us, we will lose badly." Jake felt his heart beat faster. "So what are my choices?" he asked. Captain Hayes looked sad. "You can go with them and try to save both our peoples. Or you can say no, and we all get ready for war." Jake thought about war. He had seen what war did to people and planets. Cities burned. Children died. Families were torn apart. Could he let that happen just to stay free? "What do we know about this?" Princess asked Jake. Commander Stone touched his tablet. A picture appeared on the screen. Princess Zarathal was tall and thin with blue skin and silver hair. Her eyes were large and purple. She wore a long dress made of some shiny material. She looked young, but her eyes seemed old and sad. "She is 25 in human years," said Commander Stone. "She will be the queen when her father dies. The Vexery respect her, but some think she is too soft. She has been learning about human culture for years." "Why does she think I can help their bloodline?" asked Jake. "The Vexery have a genetic problem," said Dr. Lynn Parker. She was the ship's doctor, a thin woman with red hair and kind eyes. "Their children are born sick or not born at all. Only 1 in 100 Vexery babies lives to be an adult. Their scientists think human genes might fix the problem." "That sounds crazy," said Jake. "Maybe not," said Dr. Parker. "Humans are very adaptable. We can live on many different worlds and eat many different foods. Our genes change and grow strong. The Vexery genes have stayed the same for too long." Jake walked to the big window that showed space outside. Stars filled the darkness like tiny lights. Somewhere out there, Vexery ships were waiting for an answer. He thought about his sister Helen back on Earth. She was a nurse who helped sick people get better. What would she want him to do, Captain? Can I talk to this princess? Asked Jake. That might be possible, said Captain Hayes. But Jake, you need to know something else. If you agree to this, you might not be able to come back. The genetic changes they want to make could be permanent. Jake felt scared, but he tried not to show it. How long do I have to decide? 6 days now, said the captain. The Galactic Council is meeting to discuss this. Some want to fight. Others want to negotiate. But in the end, the choice is yours, Jake. Jake nodded slowly. He understood that millions of lives depended on what he decided. Human lives, and Vexery lives too. The princess had called him by name because she believed he was special somehow. Maybe she was right. Maybe his whole life had been leading to this moment. Can I see more information about the Vexery? People asked Jake. Of course, said Commander Stone. We will give you everything we have. But Jake, remember that once you learn about them, you cannot unknow it. Knowledge changes a person. Jake looked around the bridge, at all the worried faces. These people were his friends, and his family. They would support whatever choice he made. But they could not make the choice for him. I need time to think, said Jake. Can someone show me to a quiet room? Take conference room? 3, said Captain Hayes. And Jake, take all the time you need. This is the biggest decision any human has ever had to make. Jake walked slowly to the conference room. Inside, he sat down at a long table and put his head in his hands. Outside the small window he could see stars and darkness. Somewhere in that darkness, alien ships waited for his answer. A princess he had never met wanted him to leave everything behind and join his life to hers. Jake thought about duty and sacrifice. He thought about love and freedom. He thought about what it meant to be human in a galaxy full of different kinds of life. The next few days would change everything for everyone. The only question was how. Commander Amy Foster stood in the shuttle bay, preparing for the most important mission of her life. She was 35 years old, with blonde hair pulled back in a tight bun. Her blue eyes showed determination and worry. As the head diplomat for the human fleet, she had talked her way out of many dangerous situations. But this was different. The shuttle Peacemaker was small and fast. Its white hull had the symbols of both Earth and the Galactic Council painted on the sides. Inside were seats for 6 people. Amy would lead the team. Dr. Ben Martinez would handle the science questions. Security Chief Paul Adams would keep them safe. Translator Mary Wilson would help with language problems. Jake Morrison stood nearby, watching them prepare. He looked tired. For 3 days he had been reading about Vexery culture and history. The information gave him headaches. Their society was complex, with many rules about honor and family. The royal bloodline was considered sacred by their people. Amy, you need to understand something, said Jake. The princess is not just asking for a husband. She wants someone to save her entire species from dying out. I know, Jake, said Amy, but we still need to protect your rights. You are a human citizen, and no one can force you to do anything. The shuttle lifted off from the USS Horizon and flew toward the Vexery flagship. The alien ship was huge and beautiful. It looked like a crystal palace floating in space. Blue and silver lights moved along its surface in patterns that seemed almost alive. The ship was 3 times bigger than any human vessel. Welcome, human. Delegation came, a voice in perfect English. Please dock at Landing Bay 7. Princess Zarathul is waiting to meet with you. Amy felt nervous as the shuttle entered the alien ship. The docking bay was enormous, with a high ceiling that sparkled like stars. Vexery workers moved around wearing flowing robes in different colors. They were all tall and thin with blue or purple skin. Their movements were graceful like dancers. A group of Vexery guards met them at the shuttle door. The guards wore armor that looked like silver scales. Their faces were hidden behind masks that showed no expression. One guard stepped forward and spoke in a musical voice. "Follow us, please. The princess will see you in the Harmony Chamber." They walked through corridors filled with strange art and soft music. The walls seemed to be made of the same crystal material as the outside of the ship. Lights moved through the walls like slow lightning. Amy had never seen anything so beautiful. The Harmony Chamber was a large round room with no furniture except soft cushions on the floor. In the center sat Princess Zerathal. She was exactly like her picture, but more real somehow. Her silver hair fell to her shoulders, and her purple eyes seemed to look right into Amy's soul. "Welcome, Commander Foster," said the princess in English that had only a slight accent. "Please sit with me. We have much to discuss." Amy and her team sat on cushions across from the princess. The princess wore a simple dress of blue silk. Around her neck was a pendant that glowed with soft light. She looked young, but her voice carried the weight of great responsibility. "Your Highness said, Amy, why did you choose Jake Morrison specifically?" The princess smiled sadly. "We have been watching humanity for many years, Commander Foster. Your people fascinate us. You adapt and survive in ways we cannot. Jake Morrison showed qualities that our prophecies describe: intelligence, courage, the ability to see beyond the immediate problem to find solutions." "What exactly do your prophecies say?" asked Dr. Martinez. "The ancient texts speak of a time when our bloodline would face extinction," said the princess. "They say that salvation would come from the children of a distant star, a people who could change and grow stronger through hardship. The texts describe a warrior who fights not for glory but to protect others." "That could describe many humans," said Amy. "Yes, but the texts also mention specific battles," said the princess. "Conflicts involving ships that attack civilian colonies. The defender uses wisdom instead of just strength to win." Jake Morrison's actions in Sector 7 matched these descriptions perfectly. Security Chief Adams leaned forward. "How do we know this is not just a trick to get one of our best officers?" "Because we are dying," said the princess simply. Her voice became quiet and sad. "My people once numbered in the billions. Now we are fewer than 50 million. Each year we have fewer children. In 50 years there may be no Vexery left at all." Dr. Martinez opened his medical scanner. "May I examine you, Your Highness, to understand the genetic problem better?" The princess nodded. Dr. Martinez ran the scanner over her. The device beeped and showed complex data on its screen. The doctor's eyes grew wide as he read the results. "This is incredible," said Dr. Martinez. "Your DNA has almost no variation. Your entire species is essentially identical twins. That's why you cannot adapt to genetic damage." "Exactly," said the princess. "Our ancestors valued purity over diversity. Now that purity is killing us. Human genetics show incredible variety and strength. A union between our species could give our children the genetic diversity they need to survive." "What would happen to Jake if he agreed?" asked Amy. "He would need to undergo genetic modification to ensure compatibility," said the princess. "The process would enhance his natural abilities, but would also change him permanently. He would gain some of our psychic abilities and live much longer than normal humans." Amy felt a chill. "So he could never come home. Home would be wherever he chose to make it," said the princess. "If he became my mate, he would be a prince of the Vexery Empire. But more than that, he would be my partner and equal. I do not want a slave, Commander Foster. I want someone who can help me save both our peoples." Mary Wilson, the translator, had been listening carefully. "Your Highness," she said, "may I ask about your personal feelings in this matter?" The princess was quiet for a long moment. Her purple eyes looked distant. "I have studied your culture for years," she said finally. "I have read your books and watched your movies. I understand concepts like love and choice that my people do not always value. I hope that Jake Morrison and I could find friendship, and perhaps more." but I will not lie to you. The need of my people comes first. Dr. Martinez looked up from his scanner. Princess, I need to ask something difficult. Have you tried this before with other species? Yes, said the princess. Her voice was very quiet. Twice. Both times the genetic incompatibility caused the death of both the volunteers and our potential offspring. We learned from those failures. Human genetics are uniquely compatible with ours. Amy felt the weight of the situation pressing down on her. Princess Zarathol was not a monster demanding a slave. She was a desperate young woman trying to save her people from extinction. But that desperation also made her dangerous. What guarantees can you give us? About Jake's treatment, asked Amy. He would have all the rights and privileges of Vexery royalty, said the princess. He could travel freely between human and Vexery space. He could maintain contact with his family and friends. Most importantly, he would have equal say in all decisions affecting both our peoples. Amy stood up. We need time to discuss this among ourselves, Your Highness. Of course, said the princess. My guards will show you 2 comfortable quarters. Take as long as you need. But please remember that time is running out for my people, as they were led to their rooms. Amy thought about everything she had learned. The princess seemed honest and desperate, rather than evil. The genetic science made sense. But the cost to Jake would be enormous. She needed to find a way to protect him while also preventing a war that could destroy both species. That night, Amy could not sleep. Through the crystal walls, she could see stars and the distant shape of human ships. 2 civilizations balanced on the edge of either partnership or destruction. Everything depended on one man's choice, and whether 2 very different peoples could learn to trust each other. In the morning they would return to Jake with their report. Amy hoped they had found enough answers to help him make the right decision. But she feared that no matter what Jake chose, someone would pay a terrible price. Jake Morrison sat in his quarters aboard the USS Horizon reading the diplomatic report for the 3rd time. Commander Foster and her team had returned with detailed information about Princess Zarathol and the Vexery Empire. The more Jake learned, the harder his decision became. The princess was not lying about her people dying out. Dr. Martinez had confirmed the genetic data. Without help, the Vexery would be extinct within 50 years. But the cost of helping them would change Jake forever. He would become something between human and alien, with no way back to his old life. A soft knock came at his door. "Come in," said Jake. His sister Helen Morrison entered the room. She had arrived on a fast transport ship from Earth. Helen was 2 years younger than Jake, with the same green eyes and brown hair. She wore the white uniform of a medical officer. Her face showed worry and love. "Hi, big brother," said Helen as she sat down next to him. "You look terrible." "Thanks for the honesty," said Jake with a weak smile. "Helen, how did you get here so fast?" "Admiral Sullivan sent a ship for me," said Helen. "She thought you might want family here, while you make your decision." Jake hugged his sister. Having her near made him feel better, but also worse. If he accepted the princess's proposal, he might never see Helen again. Or if he did see her, he would be so changed that he would not really be her brother anymore. "Helen, I don't know what to do," said Jake. "If I say yes, I lose everything I am. If I say no, millions of people might die in a war." Helen took his hands in hers. "Jake, remember when we were kids, and you always protected me from the bullies at school? You never thought about yourself first. You always did what was right even when it was hard." "This is different," Helen said. "Jake, those bullies could not change my DNA, or make me live on an alien world forever," maybe said Helen. "But the person making the choice is still the same. You are still my brother who cannot stand to see others suffer when he might be able to help." The door chimed again. Jake looked up to see Admiral Kate Sullivan entering with Senator Tom Bradley. The Admiral was a tough woman with gray hair and steel in her voice. The senator was older with a friendly face that hid a sharp political mind. "Lieutenant Morrison," said the Admiral, "we need to talk about the larger situation. Senator Bradley sat down heavily. Jake, the Terran Colonial Union is splitting apart over this decision. Some colonies want to support whatever choice you make. Others are talking about independence rather than risk war with the Vexery. That's not Jake's fault, said Helen angrily. No. It's not, said the senator. But his choice will affect billions of people across dozens of worlds. Some colonists think we should never negotiate with aliens who make demands like this. Others think we should do anything to avoid war. Admiral Sullivan leaned forward. Jake, there's something else you need to know. Long-range sensors have detected more Vexery ships entering human space. Princess Zarathol may be sincere, but her military is preparing for war, just in case. Jake felt pressure building in his chest. How many ships? He asked. Over 300, said the admiral. Each one more advanced than our best vessels. If fighting starts, we might hold them off for a few weeks, but we cannot win. The communication system activated with a soft tone. Captain Hayes's voice came through the speakers. All senior staff to the bridge immediately. We have an urgent message from Vexery. Space. They all hurried to the bridge. Captain Hayes stood at the main screen looking worried. On the display was a Vexery in military armor. His blue skin was darker than the princess, and his eyes showed anger. I am General Kethver of the Vexery Imperial Fleet, said the alien. Princess Zarathol has been relieved of command for making unauthorized agreements with inferior species. The Vexery Empire withdraws all offers of negotiation. Prepare to surrender the human Jake Morrison, or face the consequences. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in shocked silence. Jake felt cold fear in his stomach. The princess had been overthrown by her own military. Now, there would be no negotiation, only demands backed by force. Captain, can we contact Princess Zarathol? Asked Jake. We're trying, said the communications officer. But all Vexery channels are blocked, except for military frequencies. Suddenly Jake felt a strange sensation in his mind. It was like hearing a whisper from very far away. The feeling grew stronger, until he could make out words. Jake Morrison, please hear me. This is Princess Zarathol. I am using our psychic connection to reach you. The military has confined me, but I still have loyal followers. Do not trust General Kethver. He wants war to strengthen his own position. Jake looked around the bridge. No one else seemed to hear anything. The voice in his head continued. My people are afraid of change. They think mixing our bloodlines will make us weak instead of strong. But I have seen human strength. I have felt your courage and compassion through our link. If you still want to help my people, I will find a way to escape and meet you. Jake concentrated hard and tried to think back to the voice. How can I trust you? How do I know this is real? Because you feel it in your heart, came the reply. Humans understand emotions that my people have forgotten. You know I am sincere even though we have never met face to face. The psychic connection faded, leaving Jake feeling dizzy. He looked around the bridge and realized everyone was staring at him. Jake, are you all right? Asked Captain Hayes. Jake made a quick decision. I just received a psychic message from Princess Zarathol. She says General Kethver has taken over and that she wants to meet with me directly. That's impossible, said Admiral Sullivan. Humans don't have psychic abilities. Dr. Martinez stepped forward. Actually, Admiral, the genetic compatibility tests suggest that Jake might be developing some Vexery traits already. Prolonged exposure to their psychic fields could trigger latent abilities. Jake felt different somehow. The voice in his head had been real, and he could still sense a faint connection to Princess Zarathol across the vast distance of space. She was afraid, but determined. She genuinely cared about both their peoples. Captain, I want to meet with the princess, said Jake. If she can get away from her guards, we might be able to find a solution that avoids war. Jake, that's incredibly dangerous. SAID, Admiral Sullivan. It could be a trap. Maybe, said Jake. But I think the princess is our only hope for peace. General Kethfer wants to conquer us. The princess wants to save both our species. Helen grabbed Jake's arm. If you do this meeting, you're committed, aren't you? There won't be any turning back. Jake looked at his sister with sad eyes. Helen, I think I was committed the moment they said my name in that first message. This is bigger than any of us, Captain. Hayes nodded slowly. Jake, if you're sure about this, we'll arrange the meeting, but we'll do it on neutral ground, with full security. Jake felt the psychic connection flutter in his mind again. The princess was waiting for his answer. Two civilizations hung in the balance. War or peace. Death or life. The choice was his, but it would change everything forever. All right, said Jake. Contact Princess Zaratho through whatever channels we can find. Tell her Jake Morrison accepts her proposal for a meeting, and Captain prepare the fleet for anything. If this goes wrong, we'll need every ship we have. The bridge erupted in activity as officers began making preparations. Jake stood quietly watching the stars outside. Soon he would meet the alien princess who had turned his world upside down. He would look into her purple eyes and decide the fate of both their peoples. The scared young man inside him wanted to run away, but the leader he was becoming knew there was no choice but to move forward into an uncertain future. The neutral meeting station New Geneva floated in empty space between human and Vexery territories. It was a small but well-defended facility built for diplomatic encounters between different species. Jake Morrison stood in the observation deck, looking out at the stars. In a few hours he would meet Princess Sarathal face to face for the first time. Captain Hayes approached him carrying a datapad. Jake, we just received word from Earth. The Terran Colonial Union has officially split. 12 colonies have declared independence rather than be bound by any agreement you make with the Vexery. Jake felt his heart sink. So my decision is tearing humanity apart. It's not your fault, said the captain. These political tensions have been building for years. Your situation just brought them to the surface. Dr. Martinez joined them carrying his medical equipment. Jake, I need to run one more scan before you meet the princess. The psychic connection between you two is getting stronger. I want to make sure it's not affecting your brain in dangerous ways. Jake submitted to the medical scan. The device hummed as it examined his neural activity. Dr. Martinez frowned at the readings. This is incredible, said the doctor. Your brain patterns are changing. New neural pathways are forming that shouldn't exist in humans. The princess isn't just talking to you psychically. She's actually altering your biology from a distance. Is that bad? Asked Jake. I don't know, said Dr. Martinez honestly. It could be dangerous, or it could be preparing you for the genetic modifications you'll need. Either way, you're already becoming something more than human. The station's communication system activated. Attention all personnel. The Vexery delegation has arrived and is requesting permission to dock. Jake felt his pulse quicken. Through the psychic link he could sense Princess Zarathal's presence growing stronger. She was nervous too, but also determined. Her emotions felt as real to him as his own. The docking bay was crowded with security officers from multiple species. The Galactic Council had sent representatives to witness the historic meeting. Jake wore his best dress uniform with ribbons, showing his military service. He wanted to look professional, even though his hands were shaking. The airlock doors opened, with a hiss. Princess Zarathal stepped through, surrounded by 4 loyal guards. She wore a flowing gown of deep blue silk with silver embroidery. Her silver hair caught the station's lights, and her purple eyes immediately found Jake across the crowded bay. Jake felt the psychic connection surge as their eyes met. For a moment, he could feel everything she was feeling. Her fear of failure, her hope for success, her curiosity about the human who might save her people. Most surprising of all, he sensed something that might have been attraction, or even the beginning of love. The princess walked across the bay with graceful steps. Her guards stayed close but did not interfere. When she reached Jake, she stopped and looked up into his green eyes. They stood that way for several seconds, just studying each other. "Lieutenant Jake Morrison," said the princess in her musical voice. "I am honored to finally meet you in person." "The honor is mine, Your Highness," said Jake. "Thank you for coming, despite the danger. The danger to both our peoples is far greater than any risk to me," said the princess. "Shall we speak privately?" They were led to a conference room with large windows, showing the stars outside. Jake and the princess sat across from each other at a small table. The psychic connection between them made normal conversation feel strange. They already knew many of each other's thoughts and feelings. "Jake, I need you to understand what you would be accepting," said the princess. "The genetic modifications will give you abilities you never imagined, enhanced strength and speed, psychic powers like the one connecting us now. You will live for centuries instead of decades, but you will also be forever changed from what you are now." "And if I refuse?" asked Jake. "General Kethver will attack your people," said the princess sadly. "He believes conquest is better than cooperation. Many Vexeries support him because they fear change. War would destroy both our civilizations." Jake leaned forward. "Princess, there has to be another way. Some compromise that doesn't require me to give up my humanity." The princess reached across the table and took his hands. Her skin was warm and soft. Through the touch, the psychic connection became even stronger. Jake could see images in his mind of the Vexery homeworld. Beautiful crystal cities surrounded by dying gardens. Hospitals full of children who would never live to become adults. "I wish there was another way," said the princess. "But our geneticists have studied this for generations. Only the combination of human adaptability and Vexery psychic abilities can save my people. And only you have shown the qualities our prophecies describe." Jake felt torn between duty and desire. Part of him was terrified of losing his human identity, but another part was fascinated by the princess and the possibilities she offered. Through their mental link, he could sense that her feelings for him were growing deeper. This was not just political necessity anymore. "If I agree," said Jake, "I want guarantees. Full rights as a citizen of both species. The ability to maintain contact with my family. And most importantly, this must be a true partnership. I won't be a prize to be displayed, or a tool to be used. You would be my equal in all things," said the princess. "My consort and my partner in ruling our peoples. Together we could build a better future for both humans and Vexery." Suddenly alarms began sounding throughout the station. The communication system crackled to life. "All personnel to emergency stations. Hostile ships approaching fast." Jake and the princess rushed to the observation deck. Through the windows they could see warships emerging from hyperspace. The ships were dark and angular, unlike the princess's crystal vessel. These were built for war, not diplomacy. General Kethver's voice boomed through the station's speakers. "Princess Zarathal, you are in violation of Imperial law. Return to your ship immediately and surrender the human terrorist." Jake felt anger surge through the psychic link. The princess was furious at being called a traitor by her own people. Her purple eyes flashed with dangerous light. "I am still royal heir of the Vexery Empire," said the princess into her communicator. "You have no authority to give me orders, General. You have been declared unfit to rule," came the reply. "Submit now, or face the consequences." The princess turned to Jake with desperation in her eyes. "If we are going to do this, it must be now. Once the general takes me prisoner, there will be no hope for peace." Jake made his decision in that moment. The political consequences for humanity could be worked out later. Right now, two civilizations needed someone to take a stand for cooperation over conquest. "I accept your proposal," said Jake. "I'll undergo the genetic modifications and become your consort. But we do this as partners, not as master and servant." The princess smiled for the first time since Jake had met her. It transformed her face from alien beauty to something that seemed almost human. Through their psychic bond, Jake felt her joy and relief. "Then we must leave immediately," said the princess. "My ship has a medical facility where the modifications can be performed. Once you begin changing, you will be beyond General Cuthvert's reach." As they hurried toward the docking bay, Jake thought about everything he was leaving behind: his military career, his life as a normal human, his old dreams and plans. But he was also moving toward something new and potentially wonderful, a partnership that could reshape the galaxy. Captain Hayes met them at the airlock. "Jake, this is really happening, isn't it?" she said. "Yes, Captain," said Jake. "Take care of my sister. Tell her I'll contact her as soon as I can." The princess's ship undocked from the station, just as General Cuthvert's warships arrived. As they jumped to hyperspace, Jake watched human space disappear behind them. He was committed now to a path that would change everything. The scared young officer inside him wondered what he had done, but the man he was becoming knew this was the only choice that offered hope for both their peoples. Through the ship's crystal walls, Jake could see stars streaming past at impossible speed. Beside him, Princess Zarathal held his hand as they traveled toward their uncertain but shared future. The genetic modifications would begin soon. After that, there would be no turning back for either of them. 6 months had passed since Jake Morrison agreed to marry Princess Zarathal. The genetic modifications had been more painful than anyone expected, but they had worked perfectly. Jake now stood over 6 feet tall with enhanced muscle and bone density. His green eyes had flecks of purple in them, and his mind could reach across space to touch other consciousness. The wedding ceremony was being broadcast to billions of beings across the galaxy. Representatives from dozens of species had come to witness the union between human and Vexary. The ceremony hall was carved from a single enormous crystal that reflected light in patterns that seemed to dance and sing. Jake wore ceremonial robes that combined human military dress with Vexary royal garments. The fabric was woven with threads that changed color as he moved. On his chest was the symbol of both Earth and the Vexary Empire joined together. His enhanced senses could detect emotions from everyone in the vast hall. Princess Zarathal walked toward him down an aisle lined with flowers from both their worlds. Her wedding dress was made of material that seemed to be woven from starlight itself. Her silver hair was decorated with tiny crystals that caught the light. Through their psychic bond, Jake could feel her mixture of nervousness and joy. The ceremony master was an ancient Vexary priest whose voice carried the weight of centuries. He spoke in the old language first, then in English so all could understand. "We gather today to witness something that has never happened before in galactic history," said the priest. "The joining of 2 species in marriage and hope. Jake Morrison of Earth and Princess Zarathal of Vexaris. Do you come here freely and with full understanding of what you undertake?" "We do," said Jake and the princess together. Their voices harmonized in a way that sent shivers through the assembled crowd. The priest held up 2 rings made from metals found on both their homeworlds. "These rings represent the unbreaking bond between your peoples and your hearts. Wear them as symbols of unity and strength." Jake slipped the ring onto the princess's finger. Her skin was warm, and he could feel her pulse through their enhanced connection. When she placed his ring, Jake felt a surge of psychic energy that linked them even more deeply than before. "By the ancient laws of both your peoples, you are now joined as one," said the priest. "Princess Zarathal, you are now queen of the Vex Empire. Jake Morrison, you are now prince consort and equal ruler of our people." The crowd erupted in cheers and music that seemed to come from the crystal walls themselves. Jake and Queen Zarathal turned to face their subjects. Through the psychic link, Jake could sense the emotions of thousands of beings. Most felt hope and celebration, but some still harbored doubt and fear. The reception afterward was held in the palace gardens under 3 moons that cast silver light on alien flowers. Jake found himself talking with diplomats and scientists who wanted to learn about human culture. His enhanced abilities let him understand languages he had never heard. BEFORE. Dr. Martinez approached, carrying a small device. Jake, I have wonderful news. The genetic compatibility tests are showing results beyond our wildest hopes. The combination of human and Vexery DNA is creating something entirely new. What do you mean? Asked Jake. Your future children will have abilities that neither species possesses alone, said the doctor excitedly. Enhanced physical capabilities from humans, combined with advanced psychic powers from Vexery. They could be the next step in evolution for both our peoples. Queen Zarathal joined them with a smile that lit up her face. And we will not have to wait long to find out. Jake, I am already carrying our first child. Jake felt shock and joy surged through him. They had only been together for a few months, but Vexery biology was different from human. Through their bond he could sense the tiny, new life growing inside his wife. The baby girl would be the first human Vexery hybrid ever born. Over the following months, Jake learned to balance his duties as prince consort with his role as a bridge between species. He established exchange programs that brought human scientists to Vexery worlds and sent Vexery scholars to human universities. The knowledge sharing benefited both civilizations enormously. General Kethfer had been arrested and tried for treason. Many Vexery who had supported him came to see that cooperation with humans brought strength rather than weakness. Jake's enhanced abilities and obvious love for Queen Zarathal convinced even the skeptics that the union was real. When their daughter Luna was born, the entire galaxy celebrated. She was beautiful with Jake's green eyes and her mother's silver hair. More importantly, she showed signs of incredible psychic ability, even as a newborn. Dr. Martinez's scans revealed that her genetic code contained the best traits of both species. Jake held his daughter in the palace nursery, while Queen Zara recovered from the birth. Luna looked up at him with eyes that seemed far too wise for a baby. Through their psychic connection he could sense her awareness and intelligence developing at an impossible rate. Helen Morrison had come from Earth to meet her new niece. She wore the uniform of a galactic medical officer, having accepted a position studying hybrid genetics. Seeing her brother holding an alien baby still seemed strange, but the love in his changed eyes was completely familiar. She's perfect, said Helen, as she gently touched Luna's tiny hand. Jake, you did the right thing. Look at what you've created. Jake smiled, but his expression was thoughtful. Helen, I've been thinking about something. Luna represents hope for both our species, but she also faced challenges neither of us can imagine. She'll be the first of her kind with abilities we don't fully understand. That's why she need both her parents, said Queen Zarathal as she joined them. Through Jake you'll understand human emotions and determination. Through me she'll learn Vexery wisdom and psychic control. Together we'll raise her to be a bridge between worlds. As Luna grew, it became clear that she was indeed something new. By her first birthday she could communicate telepathically with both humans and Vexery. Her physical development was rapid, and her intelligence seemed to have no limits. Other species began requesting similar unions, hoping to enhance their own. Genetics. Jake established the Galactic Harmony Institute to study and guide such relationships. He insisted that all unions be based on genuine consent and mutual benefit, rather than political necessity. His own transformation from reluctant human officer to galactic leader inspired others to believe that cooperation was possible. Years passed and Jake adapted to his role as both father and ruler. His enhanced lifespan meant he would live for centuries, helping to guide the relationship between humans and Vexery. Luna grew into a remarkable young woman who could speak dozens of languages and understand the deepest thoughts of any species. Standing on the palace balcony one evening, Jake looked out over the crystal city of the Vexery capital. The streets below were filled with beings from across the galaxy coming to trade knowledge and culture. Human children played with young Vexery in parks where earth flowers bloomed alongside alien plants. Queen Zarathal joined him carrying their second child, a son they had named Marcus. Like his sister, he showed signs of extraordinary abilities. Through their psychic bond, Jake could feel his wife's contentment and love. "Do you ever regret your choice?" asked the Queen. Jake thought about the question seriously. He had given up his old life and his human identity to save two civilizations from war. The cost had been enormous, but the rewards were beyond anything he could have imagined. "No," said Jake finally. "I miss parts of my old life, but I wouldn't change what we've built together. Look at what our children represent. Hope for the future. Proof that different species can not only coexist but create something better together." The Queen smiled and leaned against him. Together they watched their hybrid children play in the garden below, while 3 moons cast silver light on the greatest experiment in galactic cooperation ever attempted. Jake Morrison had started as a reluctant human officer, thrust into an impossible situation. He had become something far greater, a symbol of unity in a galaxy that had too often been divided by fear and mistrust. The stars above seemed to shine brighter than before, as if the universe itself approved of what they had accomplished. Jake knew that challenges lay ahead, but he also knew that love and understanding could overcome any obstacle. His transformation was complete, but his greatest adventures were just beginning.